Welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. This is part 2 of Hal's 350. Obviously we're on the back side. Talk a little bit about what a 350 is, some of the features, and then go into specifically what this saw had going on. 350 was introduced in about 1974. 58cc saw. It was intended to be a kind of a replacement for the Super XL. It was also intended to compete with some of the Swedish saws that would be used in Sweden and that whole region where there's a lot of frozen lumber, or logging that goes on during winter. These had features that would allow you to put a heat exchanger, get warm engine air up into the air filter area, prevent freeze up, and they're a higher speed saw, faster chain speed. These, again, introduced in about 74. This one, let's see if we can focus on the serial number, is a 75 model. 63rd day of 75, so I guess early March. 225th unit built that day, so fairly early one. This has the turn down style air filter. It's not a screw, just a kind of a corkscrew device. You see the new hoses that are in there from the rebuild. And right down there you can see an air inlet. And below that is a rubber plug right up here. If you were in a super cold environment, that rubber plug would come out and a screen like the one above would go in, and that would direct a screen and boot assembly that would direct hot air up into the air filter area and allow you to run in sub-zero temperatures. One note on the air filter I forgot. The early models have this vent pipe that comes off of the carburetor diaphragm. Comes up above the filter so that it's not poking against the filter. You've got the little grommet there. Make sure that it's in place. And if you're ordering an air filter, it's the same part number, only they added a -1 for the later models that don't have that vent pipe hole. Got to be careful. If you order an early one, put it on a late model, you're going to have an air leak there. So if you do that, you've at least got to seal it up with some silicone or something like that. Got your choke, transformer system. These rubber handle grips are next to impossible to find, and this one was all split out. So if you just wrap with some electrical tape, cut your end so that it goes underneath, and put a little dab of super glue across that seam, paste it down, it'll actually hold for quite a while. These early 350s and early 360s have an adjustable automatic oiler. Oiler is back there. It's gear driven off the crankshaft. If you want to adjust it, you just swing. This one's putting out a massive amount of oil, so I've got it set at the low setting, and as you can see, that chain is good and wet. So cutting hardwood, you wouldn't have any problem keeping this chain cool. Again, 350s, early 360s, side adjuster on the chain here. Excuse me. That is something that was picked up by the Swedish saws and continues to this day on some models. 350 originally did not have a spark arrestor screen. They released it as a kit afterwards, but if you're cutting on public lands or pretty much anywhere that is protected by a wildfire prevention service, you better have a spark arrestor screen. If you don't, you start a fire, they can hold you liable. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to go into all of that, but it's not worth the risk. So anyway, that is a 350. Now, specifically to Hal's saw, what we had going on was he picked it up, was a non-runner. If you've watched the other video, you know the carb boot was shot, so I tore it down and replaced that, talked to Hal, and we agreed the cylinder was going to be replaced since, as we previously mentioned in a video, the spark plug threads had been stripped out and a Healy coil had been installed. Well, got it torn down to do all that, and when I got the cylinder and piston apart, I found something pretty nasty. Let's see if we can get some good focus there. See how that piston's all cratered? Well, it's even worse than that. The impacts of whatever material was in the cylinder have actually collapsed that upper piston ring landing. So it's seized in the ring bore there. So that piston was shot. It was only making compression off of that bottom ring, which it probably would have run, and maybe even run okay for a while, I don't know. But long story short, what I believe happened, based on what I see, I think when this was tapped for the oversized helicoil, I think the guy let the shavings fall down into the cylinder, and then them bouncing around getting hot, that's what cratered that whole thing out. And that is a recipe for disaster. It's actually a miracle the saw didn't seize up when it was first run. So anyway, a few other minor maintenance things, and this appears to be a good running saw. Hal, I will be getting in touch with you soon, and I'm certainly hoping this will cut many cords of firewood for you.